Why did I pivot away from merger and acquisition integration into change readiness? Well, if I'm honest, merger and acquisition integration is really all I've ever known. Almost every company I've worked for, I've been a part of the M&A integration team. So when I left corporate America and moved into consulting, it was an easy switch for me. It just made sense to move in that direction. But honestly, after providing change management for M&A for almost 2 decades now, I'm still seeing stats that say that there's still a 70% failure rate when it comes to organizational changes. And honestly, I just can't wrap my mind around that. When we are providing good change management, and when I say me, I mean me and the colleagues that I know, we're providing really good change management. So why is there still a 70% failure rate? I just can't wrap my mind really around that. At some point, I had to stop and ask myself this question, why, and really ponder it, and think clearly and thoroughly about what I'm seeing. And what I found is that organizations are simply just not ready to make change. That's the bottom line. Senior leaders sit in the meetings with their junior leaders and they talk about the changes that are being proposed, and the leaders are nodding their heads and they're taking notes and they look really engaged, but really they're not that engaged. They really are confused, they have questions, and they're not aligned with the changes that are being proposed. And then when it comes to the employees, they're really not aligned. They're really disengaged because they like their routines. And now you're wanting to upset that routine. Even if the system that they're working on or the process they work through are antiquated, are not really that optimal, when we introduce something new, that old system becomes the best thing since sliced bread. And so employees and leaders alike, they like their routines. They like their old systems until they don't, or they don't like their old systems until something new is introduced. And so we have a difficult time getting employees, getting leaders to adopt the changes. And what we see happening is that once the change has been made, the system has gone live, employees find ways to go back to the old way of doing things because they never adopted the changes in the first place. And so that's why I made the pivot to change readiness, because organizations must be ready, must prepare their employees for the changes to come. It's not good enough anymore just to drop a change on employees and think that everybody's going to be on board, because that simply is not the case. We are not going to be on board just because we're told to be on board. And so in the change readiness, what I've also found is that leaders, supervisors, managers, directors, VPs, who operate with underdeveloped or overdeveloped emotional intelligence will also keep the organization from experiencing the success that they want to experience, because they do not assist in navigating the change that's needed from them. And so I focus a great deal on emotional intelligence in the leadership, but also on change styles, because each one of us has an instinctive way of approaching change. There are three ways that I focus on, and we all fit under one of those categories. And so understanding how your teams approach change, how individuals on your teams approach change, makes all the difference as well. So again, switching over from primarily focusing on mergers and acquisitions to focusing on change readiness was just an easy switch for me.